Siomra
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to On Siomra. Welcome back to the digital tiny room. I'm the Michael of Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined today, as bloody well always, by the man who was recently voted the podcast host you would most like to have with you in a post-apocalyptic scenario. It's Benjamin.
I don't think that's right. I think, Michael, in fact, it would be the earliest part of the movie where I turned around to you and said, go on without me. No, seriously, go on without me. I'm done. I'm not.
Yeah, no, Ben. People were voting strategically. Like if, let's say, for example, if there was a zombie horde and you had to escape. You know what they say, Ben? You know what they say, Ben? You don't have to be faster than a bear. You just have to be faster than the person you're running with. And Ben,
prick.
I am notoriously quick, so, it would work well for me. You just punched your mic.
I just punched my mic. Michael, I would run in the opposite direction to give you more time, and I'd probably make a lot of noise, and it'd probably sound like this.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have anything music.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Just to give you a fighting chance in the apocalypse, Michael. You know?
Benjamin!
Yeah.
Now, apropos of nothing, Ben, because, we like, in this podcast, we like to get down into the nitty-gritty. This isn't a podcast about our lives, Ben. That's not why people are listening.
No.
No, it's not. People want to get into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to take a rare detour before we start, Ben, and say that after nearly 14 months of being almost entirely sedentary due to COVID, I have spent the morning moving 6 tons of rubble from a back garden.
Why?
And look, it's a long story about patios. It's not needed to get into here, Ben. It's domestic stuff.
Okay.
But, Ben, I am in agony. I am feeling the agony that only a 38-year-old man who has just moved 6 tons of rubble could possibly feel. So, this episode will contain considerably more moaning and groaning than usual. And we can kind of tie that in with a theme, I feel. So if during a conversation about the Winter Soldier, I go, just pretend it's zombies, is what I'm getting at.
There was a lot of moaning and groaning in this week's episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so it fits on many levels, Michael.
See, yeah, it's meta. It's all meta. Anyway, Benjamin, what have we watched? What have we watched this week?
There's been some trailers, Michael. First of all, the return of yours, Shane's, and Jim's favourite, La Familia 9. We're back, and this time family's not so good.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
This trailer for The Fast and or The Furious 9. Fast 9. They've just shown us the film, haven't they, Ben?
Yeah, we've just gotten to see the whole film, Michael.
Here's
from start
the film.
to finish.
Hey, we heard that you guys like The Fast and the Furious, so we've prepared this little package so that you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Michael, it takes us through every single beat in order.
In order, Ben! It's
in
not
order.
Even mixed up order. It's just
No.
Here's the film.
No.
What are they
just
doing?
Take us through the fucking film.
The last time I saw one this egregious was the Sony Spider-Man films. They were notorious.
They walked us through the
Yeah. They were notorious for walking you through the film and ending the trailer on a scene from the final confrontation.
Yeah, Michael Hahn is back, and we know that now.
We know it. Not only do we know it, Ben, we also know how they find out he's back.
Yeah, he saves them.
He saves them as a sniper in an alley. Ben, why did they show us that?
I don't know, Michael, but you know what else would annoy me? If I was the director of a film, or perhaps the set designer of a film, or perhaps the stunt coordinator of a film, and I'd spent, I would say, Michael, not an inconsiderable amount of time designing a large-scale, car-based, spectacle.
Yeah, I enjoy
because
a
it's
car-based
Fast
spectacle.
9, Michael. And car-based spectacles are pretty much their bread and butter. And then, Michael, do you know what would really sizzle my buns in the wrong way?
John Cena, the actor John Cena.
The actor John Cena, first of all, because you can't film him, Michael. He's very hard to see. And then, on top of that, Michael, if the trailer then went and showed my entire car-based spectacle so that people didn't have to go and spend their money.
Ridiculous, Benjamin. The whole film is in the trailer. It's a 2.5-minute trailer and it's just a summary of the film.
Do you know what? Do you know what's really kind of getting to me when I was watching this? Because there's a little confrontation between Dom and John Cena there. He's like, "You turned your back on me, Dom."
Yeah.
well, now you go. I've lived in my shadow my entire life. It's like, you've lived in the shadow of Dominic Toretto.
Yes.
A one-time kind of car
Petty
hustler
criminal
that then occasionally does Black Ops missions now and then. Now
for the government.
a lot more. But before that, just did street racing.
Yeah.
Street racing is what he did.
Stealing DVD players.
And stealing DVD players. I'm not sure how long his shadow was.
Yeah, pretty
and
short.
I don't know if you've lived in it your entire life, John Cena, because we've never heard of you.
I've lived in your shadow your entire life. I was stealing DVDs, you were stealing DVD players. He was just going into HMV and pickpocketing the collected series of Farscape.
That was it. That was exactly what was happening. And Stephen Cadwell was there going, oh, that looks good.
Yeah, I'd have that too. I'm going to buy it though because I'm an honourable member of society.
Because I'm a decent bloke and not John Cena.
Yeah,
so look, we're supposed to believe in this one, Michael, that John Cena is the long lost, estranged black sheep of the Toretto family.
I don't know if he necessarily is long lost or estranged. He just, no one has bothered to mention him.
Okay, that's...
Ben, have I ever told you about my sister Philippa?
Oh, Philippa Leonard, yeah.
Yeah, oh no, she's grand crack. She's grand crack. She was under my shadow for a while, but she's come out now, from under it.
And now you're going to live under her shadow from now on.
Yeah, we're going to have a confrontation, me and Philippa. I've always hated her, to be honest.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is there again as well.
So what, Ben?
She's looking pure smug.
So bloody what? This is the weirdest film series of all time. It defies logic. It defies explanation. It's going to be a big hit because Han is back. Han! No one cared about Han.
Well, they do now.
But they do now, inexplicably.
Yeah.
Han, the character Han, is for some reason one of the most popular fictional characters in the world.
I guarantee you, Michael, somebody in the writer's room was like, we all like Han. And he's like, yeah, I like my hands. Yeah, we should put those in the film. And that's how he made it back. That's how he made it back. And it would follow the same logic as everything else, Michael. Michael, there were other things this week.
Yes, were any of them any use, though?
There were other spectacles that we had to behold, Michael. This week saw the release of the trailer for Army of the Dead from one Zacharin Schneider.
Zacharin Schneider, Ben. Your friend and mine, Zacharin Schneider. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Does it have any of the following things?
Go on.
Zombies.
It does, yeah.
Slow motion.
It does, yeah.
Yes, a motley crew.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, Dave Bautista.
It does, yeah.
I'll probably give it a watch then.
Probably give it a bloody watch. So we saw the trailer for this, and it's a throwback Zacharin Schneider. It's a sucker punch a little bit. It's
a little bit of a sucker punch. It's
a
a little bit of a Dawn of the Dead.
It's very much a Dawn of the Dead, Michael. It's a little... I think it's Zacharin Schneider's homage to Dawn of the Dead, and it's a bunch of mercenaries.
Now, Ben, hold on.
Go on.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. You do know that Zacharin Schneider made Dawn of the Dead in 2004?
Yes, he... Oh, wait, am I mixing up? What am I mixing up?
No, he's already made a homage to Dawn of the Dead.
Yes, he's made the one in 2004.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yes, so he had the original one. So is this a sequel of sorts then, Michael?
It's a sequel, a second sequel of sorts, because this... Zacharin Schneider's... Oh, no, wait a minute. I might be getting confused now. I think Land of the Dead from 2010... was not the sequel to Zacharin Schneider's Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
I think that was the sequel to the original Day of the Dead.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I think this is the first sequel to Zacharin Schneider's Dawn of the Dead-averse.
Okay, so the Dawn of the Dead-averse has returned, Michael, and we see that a bunch of zombies, for some reason, have been corralled into Las Vegas. They're just being kept there.
Again.
Again. Is that what happened in Dawn of the Dead?
No, Ben, that's what happened in Resident Evil 3.
Jesus Christ.
Do you remember? Can you throw your mind back?
I don't remember. I haven't seen any of the Resident Evil series, thankfully.
It had Mila Jovovich in it.
Yes, I know it was in it, but I've never seen it, Michael.
It was Mila Jovovich.
Anyway, so we're back in Las Vegas and the zombies are there too. And for some reason, Michael, now tell me if this strikes you as an odd thing, right? Your man says there's $200 million sitting in a vault just waiting for someone to take it.
Yeah.
If I had a ragtag bunch of mercenaries, right?
Yeah.
And there's about 9 of them in the group, I think, give or take.
Yeah, you probably could if you wanted.
Yeah. I don't know if 200 million would be enough of an incentive for me to go into a zombie-infested territory.
200 million divided by 9, Ben.
I just don't know if that's...
That's like That's like 22 million each, Ben.
Yeah, but is it enough, Michael, in the post-apocalyptic zombie land?
Well, that's the bigger issue. Is money still worth anything?
That's what I mean.
Especially paper money. Like 22 million, Ben. I'd kill you for 22 million.
Oh, and you know what? I'd let you, because I know you and your good lady partner would have a much better life.
I'd give some to your family, Ben. I'd probably have to give about a third to my secret sister, Philippa. Old Philippa Leonard.
Just to get rid of all those bitter in the shadow vibes.
Yeah, fuck's sake, Philippa. But Benjamin. Yeah, and Benjamin, look, we'll come back to this whole thing about money later on when we're talking about other films.
We have many other films to get through, Michael.
It's another nice little segue. Benjamin, what bothers me was it's basically Dave Bautista versus the zombies are orcs now for some reason.
The zombies are orcs.
They're orcs now.
Excellent observation, Michael. Zombies are a bit superpowered in this. They're a bit jacked.
Yeah, they seem to have personalities. They've got a queen by the looks of things, a sexy zombie queen.
Yeah, so it's following the I Am Legend logic, I guess, of, well, zombies are just a structure that we don't understand yet. Zombies have their own society.
Yeah, they're going to head that way by the looks of things.
It's got some pretty interesting people in it, Michael. One of the mercenaries is Tig Notaro, who's a comedian from the United States. And she, as far as I know, has not been in many blockbusters, but she's going to be in this one. Which is interesting to me.
I have some degree of faith in Zachary Snyder when it comes to casting.
Yes.
I don't think he often goes wrong in casting, even throwing your mind back to 2004's Dawn of the Dead, Ben.
Yes.
Not an all-star cast, sorry. A bit of a motley crew cast. But the cast were one of the strongest things about Zachary Snyder's 2004 film, Dawn of the Dead.
Well, there you go. I think what's probably happening here, Michael, is this is a bit of a passion project for him. I think, he's just been... He's had a tough run of it, Michael. Let's not forget the personal tragedies of one Zachary Snyder.
Personal tragedies, yeah. The whole politicals around the Snyder Cut.
Even before that, he had family tragedy around the whole Justice League thing. So maybe he's just going back to...
Oh, I'm just going to do a zombie film just to piss off everyone. I'm just going to do zombies with my mate Dave Bautista.
But I think that's probably a large part of what happened, where it's just I'm just going to do fucking zombies.
I'm just going to do zombies with my mate Dave Bautista, because everybody loves Dave Bautista.
They do. He just seems to be a very in-demand, likeable man. But you know what, Michael? Not mad at that.
Go on.
He is a very likeable and in-demand man. And that's just fine.
You never know, Ben. You never know. You used to be a big fan of Kevin Spacey. He was one of your favourites. And remember, Ben, you tried to get me to go to that party with Harvey Epstein.
Oh.
You remember that?
Oh, I did. Harvey Epstein is not a real person. There's a Harvey Epstein somewhere, and he's really sick of getting hate mail. There's one guy called Harvey Epstein. He's like, oh, fuck.
I'm neither of them. I'm neither of the people you think I am.
I'm not. He keeps getting added on Twitter, and he's just like, it's not me.
I'm neither of them.
I'm neither of these people. So that's... I'll probably watch it, Michael. It looks entertaining.
Yeah. I'll watch it too, Ben. I'll enjoy it. I'll watch it. We'll probably go to the cinema if that's happening again, if the real apocalypse is over.
Hopefully, by that time, it will be, Michael.
Yes.
Michael, speaking of apocalypses...
Oh, very good.
We've been reviewing away, Michael, this month. We've been watching lots of things this week.
Except some of the things that I was supposed to watch, Ben, I forgot.
That's okay, Michael. We'll forgive you for that. So one of the things that we watched together, Michael, not together, because it's COVID, Michael, and we're together
COVID times,
apart.
Ben. Yeah.
Was Love and Monsters. Love and Monsters.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Love and Monsters. Great little film.
Great little film, Michael.
Great little $30 million film.
I was taken aback, Michael, by how much I enjoyed this film.
Benjamin, what's going on?
This film. My computer is running low, so I'm going to have to... for some reason, somebody has unplugged lots of stuff from my computer, which is very strange.
It's probably the goblins, Ben. The goblins
that
live under your desk.
Goblins, Michael, but it's sorted now, Michael. Fixed.
That's very good. Now, Benjamin.
Yes.
What is going on with Love and Monsters?
So Love and Monsters, Michael, is another little apocalypse. Just situate myself properly here, Michael, because otherwise I'm going to sit myself and it'll be very painful. An on-air podcasting disaster. So, Love and Monsters, Michael, is... Do you know what? It'd be awful.
What?
Hubris. And so what happens is there's there's a meteor, Michael. The premise is a meteor was hurtling towards the Earth.
Yeah.
Agatha 616, which I found very interesting, Michael, because 616 is the Marvel continuity, and I don't know if there's a little nod there somewhere.
Yeah, is that a little nod? What's that about?
616 seems an odd choice of number, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. If any of the listeners know why 616 is a pop culture number, give us a shout there, will you?
Tell us.
But yeah, so that comes, and we tackle it. We come together and have our kind of Armageddon Day, our what's the other space ones?
This is our Independence Day.
That's the one, thank you. And we beat it, Michael, but of course we made a tit of it, Michael, because there's chemicals in the weapons that we use, and they spread down into the earth, and they affect all non-human life by the looks of things. And mutate all the things into big apex predator monster thingies.
Big spoogly woogly monsters, Ben.
Big spoogly woogly monsters. And Michael,
then,
what a joy. What a joy
it's fantastic. It revolves around the character of Ben. And Ben, he's fucking useless. And he's a real sad sack. He's a real sack of shit. And he has to go and he has to learn some lessons. The actor the actor's name is Dylan O'Brien, but he plays the character Ben. Ben from the podcast Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and he's stuck in a underground containment facility, Ben, and he's like, I want to get out of here and experience life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that's what happens basically, and even a 7-day journey, Michael, is considered suicide in this universe, because something's gonna get you.
Some sort of horribly glibbly monster.
Horrible glibbly monster. And then what happens first, Michael, is there's a toad and then there's a dog, and the dog reminded me so much of my own dog. That any time it was in peril in the film, I genuinely felt a sense of tension and just awful burning desire to help the dog, because it reminded me so much of my Bowie.
Benjamin, I tell you what, I'll tell you two secrets about this. First of all, I was watching it going, why the hell am I watching The Adventures of Ben? Why is Ben on my television? Fucking not even able to shoot the bow properly. Fucking causing problems for everyone. And then I thought, fuck this, fuck me sideways. I'm pausing this and making sure the dog survives. Because Benjamin, I watched the film a couple of weeks ago, and it pissed me off so much with its emotional manipulation. I didn't even bring it up on the podcast. I watched the film Chaos Walking.
Oh, did it come out? I never.
Yes, it came out with Tiny Tom Holland in it.
Okay.
And that has a very cruel end to a dog.
Oh,
and
no.
It was. I actually, for the first time in years, I got up and I turned the film off.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how much it annoyed me and upset me. Now, Ben, emotions might be heightened because
sure.
Also, it was shit. So, I wasn't really engaged with it anyway. So I was completely disengaged with this shit film, and then they killed the dog in a mean way, and I went, right, not watching the rest of that. That film can fuck off. So I checked to make sure the dog is okay in the film Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
And it was great.
I genuinely thought there's a scene, so spoilers for this film.
Yes, obviously. The dog survives.
The dog survives, but there's a mutated centipede scene.
Yes.
And I honestly thought what was going to happen in that scene is he would finally react, but it would be too late. The dog would be injured and it would die in his arms. And I swear to God, Michael, if that had happened, I would have had a good and proper cry.
Yes, Benjamin, I was on fucking edge, so I checked. I said, fuck this.
Every time that dog got caught out, I was like, this is very... I was white-knuckling it, Michael.
Yes, Ben.
The whole way through. It was... Oh, man. Great little film, though. Very enjoyable.
Fantastic film. Ben, it took me to discover a new website called doesthedogdie.com. And it's a website that has trigger warnings for things that happen in films. It's actually very interesting. But anyway, self-spoilers aside, it is, Ben, very much a spiritual, if not an actual sequel, but it's very much a spiritual sequel to the film Zombieland.
Absolutely. Jesse Eisenberg is replaced by a, frankly, far more likeable lead character.
Yes, Dylan O'Brien playing the character Ben is far more likeable than whatever Jesse Eisenberg's character's name is.
Playing Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
Yeah, so we kind of get to see that, and then it's kind of learning the rules of this new landscape, this new universe. It's a horror-scape, Michael, because everything's out to get you. Everything
is gross and horrible except the big fun snails.
Yeah, the boulder snails, Michael.
Yeah, they were fun. Benjamin, it even has It has Woody Harrelson's character in it.
Yeah, but again,
nicer,
slightly more likable.
Yeah, it has Michael Rooker playing a more likable Woody Harrelson. It has I don't know the child actress's name, but she plays a more likable Abigail Breslin.
A less irritating Abigail.
A less irritating and less mean Abigail Breslin. It has Jessica Henwick. Jessica Henwick who is now being typecast as the object of affection for nerdy, useless wimps.
Yeah, it is tapping into that weird simp kind of attractive Asian stereotype, and I hope it doesn't happen to her too much, because she's very decent in that. She's a more likable Emma Stone, which is a big ask.
It's a big ask, Ben, but Emma Stone's not that likable in Zombieland. It's very similar to Zombieland, though. But
it is.
It's okay. You could argue it's a bit more toothless.
Yeah,
because it's you could watch this with little small children, Ben. And they might be a bit frightened about the dog being in peril. But the only people, Ben, and again, spoilers for the film Love and Monsters, the only people who get killed are Australians.
And as we all know, Michael, that's just fine by us here on the podcast.
Our arch enemies, Ben, the Australians.
The bloody Australians.
Yeah.
There's a couple of dickhead Australians in there. And
very much playing to stereotype.
Yeah, they Jesus. But it's a pretty interesting, it's enjoyable to watch him kind of navigate this world. Michael Rooker is a wonderful character. I sat there, Michael, precisely in the montage of him kind of learning the new rules of the new world. And I just thought to myself, do you know what Mick will love about this film? You can't have both.
Yeah, I like that.
You can't have both. I was sitting there going, now there is a rule for Michael Leonard. You can either, and I thought it was a great apocalypse rule when you're dealing with predators. Mm-hmm. You can either sleep somewhere or eat somewhere.
Full night's sleep or
do both.
Or a warm meal.
And I was like, what a great rule.
Brilliant rule.
Great rule.
One of the best rules, Ben. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, a bit toothless. I don't know how well it would hold up to multiple rewatchings.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, though, because it's very good. Very good, very
Michael,
enjoyable.
Very enjoyable.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought, it is a bit toothless, though. I mean, again, spoilers, because we're going in depth here. Mm-hmm. The fact that by pure coincidence, Jessica Henwick's character, she's developed and she's matured, and he hasn't, and that's it's his journey to maturity and responsibility that we're watching, and it's not a bad one. But the fact that when he gets there, she's happily single and happy to have him back. There's no conflict. There's no tension. Everything goes his way. Everything goes his way. So it is a bit toothless, but it's fun and enjoyable.
In the middle of a pandemic, Michael, I'll take a toothless film that made me feel good for an hour and a bit.
Yeah. Me too, Ben. I'll take it. I'll take it gladly, and I'll clutch it to my bosom.
Don't, just like the dog. It's just like, no. Yeah. Nothing will hurt you.
I will clutch it to my bosom in the same way that you would clutch the dog and Jessica Henwick to your bosom.
Yes, with firm and loving adoration for both. So, Michael, we watched some other stuff. Well, one of us watched other stuff,
I forgot, Ben. I forgot. Yeah. I made a big deal of it last week and I forgot this week.
And the only thing about this is, Michael, I have watched The Nevers.
You know when I'm going to watch it, Ben?
When?
Never. No, probably now, actually, after this.
I kind of need you, because you're the Whedon guy.
Yeah, I'm the Whedon guy.
I watched
I don't know. Hold on, I don't want to be called. I don't want to be known as the Whedon guy.
That's too bad. You're the Whedon guy on this podcast.
No. Do you have any women I could bully, Ben?
No, but Joss Whedon has a literal orphanage full of them in this film.
Oh, very good.
Michael.
Okay.
What I'm sure many people are familiar with it. Very, very quickly. It's set in Victorian London. Victorian England as a whole, I think, we're not sure yet. And what happens is there's a strange event, and certain people become what are known as the touched. Mm-hmm. They're imbued. So it's misfits, but in the Victorian period.
Very good, yes.
So that's what we're dealing with. And one woman, Lavinia Bidshaw, I think is the name that they give to her, Miss Lavinia Bidshaw, has set up an orphanage for the women that have been affected by this, the female touched.
Ex-women,
exactly. And her two gals Friday, or her two main kind of operatives, the Cyclops and the Jean Grey of it all,
right,
are Miss Amelia True Armulia True, I think is the name.
Well, they sound like Joss Whedon names.
Yeah, and one Miss Temperance Adair.
Yeah, they're very Joss Whedon names.
They're very Joss Whedon names. So that's our first Whedon trope,
right.
is bloody weird pushed names, okay? And what Miss True is the Slayer. Mm-hmm. She's the Slayer, or the main character from Dollhouse, or Summer from Serenity or Firefly.
River.
Is it River? Oh, okay.
Summer is the actress's name.
It could have been either. It doesn't really matter. She's River from Firefly, and she's a big badass lady, and everybody underestimates her until she gives them a bloody judo flip and puts them on their ass. And then Miss Temperance Adair is Kaylee from that, or the... Who else is there? Yeah, it's the Willow. Temperance Adair is the Willow, and she's an inventress.
Oh, she's an inventress. She's the nerdy best friend.
She can see how energy moves, and she can manipulate that to make things work better.
That would be very useful in the Victorian times, Ben, as electricity was starting to become available.
Yes, so I suppose she'd be really at the forefront of that, Michael. So she's very Irish and very enjoyable. In fairness to the pair of them, quite likeable characters as they go along. But then we start to get into the real Whedonisms, Michael.
Go on.
And this is where it gets good. So there's a bloody sect of weirdy face men that are out to get the touched as well.
Very Whedon-esque.
And what they are is it's that classic kind of Buffyverse facial disfiguration kind of villain that Whedon is so fond of. Look at these vampires. Look at their scrunchy faces. Oh, look at these men. They're all carved up. Look at these reavers. They're all carved up and have weird faces. Well, now, look at this weird sect that's trying to get touched people. Touched people is a very difficult way of saying this, by the way.
You know, we're all just trying to get touched.
Amen. So there's a mad killer called Malady.
Of course there is.
And she's the enemy of the state a little bit. You know, she's giving a bad name to all the other ones, and she reminded me a lot of
Alpha from Dollhouse.
Yeah, Alpha. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And you know what? It's worse.
What?
It's she's a mad person. She's crazy and out there, and you can't predict her. And
like Drusilla.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're dealing with. So that's Whedonism number 3 at this point.
3 million.
3 million. There's a very exploitative fight towards the end of episode 1.
Okay, I'll give that a watch, Ben.
Between Malady and Miss True. Right. And Miss True has to use her ball gown to gently propel herself downwards. She's skipping the stairs in favor of dropping right to the bottom. And she does the Slayer landing, you know, the classic kind of look-up Slayer landing, which would now be called the superhero landing, Michael. But, you know, it was a big Buffy trope.
I've seen it.
As she drops down through the thing, she loses her dress, and so she's forced to fight in her undergarments. Michael.
Oh, very good. Very exploitative. Harvey Epstein would be pretty happy with that.
Harvey Epstein would be delighted with it as a scene, Michael. So there's a lot of Whedonisms. Despite that, Michael, I don't want to be unfair to it. It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ben, cut to the chase here. Is it any good, though?
Yeah, it's quite enjoyable, Michael. They've gone to great lengths, I'd say, to remove a lot of Whedonisms. I'd say there's probably a couple of recuts in there. You'll notice some jumps every now and then, or some missing exposition that you could have used.
No, I like less exposition, Ben.
Yeah, so you'll probably enjoy that. Nick Frost makes his appearance as the Beggar King of London.
He's got a switchblade.
And he's quite enjoyable in that role. Like, they have decent enough actors. Oh, I forgot one huge Whedonism. There's a giant girl.
Oh, yeah, like Dawn from Buffy season 7.
One of the touches a weird giant, so it's another Whedon fetish just shoved in there for no reason.
It's not for no reason, Ben. It's for him to get off.
One of the other girls has a linguistic block, so she can't communicate like everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Which is again your River, your Christina Hendricks in Firefly, your I don't know, pick a mute person from Buffy.
Christina Hendricks wasn't mute in Firefly.
No, but she didn't talk. Remember, she was just like, "Oh, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm all scared and I'm all
sexy.
I'm all confused." Yeah, born sexy yesterday, no good. But yeah. Overall, Michael, it's enjoyable. I think it'll be interesting. His weird surgeon fetish is there as well. It turns out that the subsect is created by an evil surgeon who wants to experiment on the touched.
Oh yeah.
So it's Whedon by the numbers, but it is enjoyable. The production quality, Michael, is beyond anything you've seen in a Whedon show before.
Well, it's the modern times, isn't it, Ben?
It is. I mean, we've got new technology. I would imagine the budget is probably hefty on this because it's HBO.
Yeah. It's been what, Ben? 10, 12, 15 years since a Whedon show was on the air?
I guess that's probably true now.
I think Dollhouse was the last one, wasn't it? Like, he was vaguely involved in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the beginning, but...
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah. So it's been a long time coming. But look, it's a pretty interesting show. I won't spoil any more for you because I really want you to go and watch it, and I want to discuss it with you next week.
I'll go and watch it. We'll talk about it next week.
Because you'd know even more about the Whedon-verse than I would, and you'd be able to spot a lot more stuff than I would. But I was so excited, Michael. I was after watching it, and I knew we'd have this discussion where you'd be like, did you watch it? And I'd be like, yes, I did.
I forgot though, Ben.
I had notes. I took notes.
You took notes?
I was so ready for this, and then you told me you
took notes in your little monster diary.
In my little monster diary.
Did you colour them in with the crayons that Jessica Henwick gave you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Good. My Jessica Henwick crayons were on at hand at all times. Michael, let's move on to two more things that we have both seen.
All right, we better bloody whip through this, Ben.
We're chunking through this. We're 31 minutes in, Michael.
We better keep going then.
So, Invincible was on episode 6.
Excellent.
One of our Ezra Miller's back. Boo.
Ezra Miller. He's nearly as bad as
fans.
Everyone else. Who's
Ezra
bad now?
Miller. He's there playing an absolute dickhead in the Invincible universe. D.A. Sinclair.
Yeah, no use, no good. Benjamin, was this storyline one of the earlier storylines in the original series?
Yeah, he's one of the first kind of big... This is Mark Grayson's first tussle with real, what he considers to be evil. Someone who's experimenting on other people and damaging them. And do you know what I mean? And then, of course, naturally, that character is used in the Invincible series then to introduce the idea of a grey area into superhero comics. There isn't always a good guy. There isn't always a clear bad guy in these situations. And, yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing.
It was a very good episode, Ben. There was lots of chat and lots of relationship and stuff, but... it was still very good, very enjoyable, very compelling. I'm really enjoying this show. It's probably my favourite show on television. You know what, though?
What?
You know who really got Rick killed?
Go on.
Amber.
Yeah.
Amber got Rick killed. Rick invited Amber, a high school student, to sit in on a university lecture.
Yes.
And in the university lecture, some guy who's notorious for being a dick started being a dick. And then a 17-year-old who was invited to sit in to observe got involved.
Yeah.
The lecturer didn't. The lecturer probably should have said, "Who are you? Why are you arguing with this local lunatic?"
Yeah, what's going on?
And that's how Rick got involved. And that's when
Rick stood up for her.
Yeah, so that's when he decided. So Amber got Rick killed.
Amber makes a lot of interesting choices in this film or in this series, Michael. Arguably, she doesn't have a lot of agency because she's often used to cause conflict for Mark, and I'm fairly certain that's not a great writing of a female character.
Yeah.
Not that I do it very often, but she does seem to act as just a thing to generate conflict for Mark.
I've gone right off her now. And let's move on now. Off we go. Look at Eve. She's having a great time.
Yeah, Eve's off doing some good stuff. I don't know if Mark and Amber are going to happen in the same way that they do in the comics. I'm not certain that this won't just be a lesson for Mark to be a bit of a waste of Zazie Beetz, though, if she doesn't stick around. I suppose.
Yeah. Well, Ben, look. What a cast.
Yeah, what?
Ridiculous.
I mean, ridiculous. Do you know they all recorded together, Michael?
Did they?
Yeah, they were all in the same room. So there's clips going around now behind the scenes of J.K. Simmons, Sandra Oh, and Stephen Yeun in the recording booth together. And you're just sitting there going,
what a star-studded
cast. Recording
They've
room.
got the man from Drum That Faster Boy. They've got, what's her name? Vanessa Gray's friend. Yeah, they've got
Sandra Oh.
Brian of the Dead. What's his name? Glenn of the Dead.
Glenn of the Dead.
Yeah, everyone's in it.
Look, it's a big all-star cast. Still enjoyable, Michael. Real interesting Frankenstein narrative as well when we see the original. That was Justin Roiland, by the way, was the original Monster Man.
I know, it's crazy.
It was crazy. So that was a really interesting thing, seeing him take his own life and get put in check by... So he goes, I got rid of him. And it's like, no, you didn't. He killed himself. Like, don't you act like you saved the day there.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's real good, real interesting. But Michael, that leads us from one interesting, compelling show onto the timidity.
The timidity of this show, Ben. First of all, spoilers for the show The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Benjamin,
yeah,
there was a lot of speculation about a big cameo that was coming in episode 5. And
well, there kind of was.
The big cameo that was coming in episode 5 was such a damp squib of a cameo that I realised about 3 hours later, oh, that was the cameo that they were talking about. Now,
that was the big moment.
It could be the internet driving itself into a frenzy again, because the internet was speculating Steve Rogers, Chadwick Boseman, you know, there was, what's his name, Red Guardian. There were all sorts of speculation about who it was and, you know, why it had to be rewritten because Black Widow was delayed and all of this stuff. But yeah, it was Elaine from Seinfeld.
It was Elaine from Seinfeld. Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing Countess Allegra de la Fontaine.
Yeah, that'll do.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who's a Jim Steranko creation from the days that he wrote the Nick Fury comic and the Captain America comic.
She was Nick Fury's sexy sidekick.
Nick Fury's sexy Italian sidekick. Yeah. Hopefully, but probably not going to be that character anymore. It looks like to me that she's going to be kind of an amalgamation of her and Miss Brand, the sword director in the comics that we see sometimes.
Do you think that? I think that she is going to be a kind of off-brand, kind of a morally evil Nick Fury. I think she's going to set up a superhero team of cast-offs and weirdos.
Defenders, so to speak.
Or Thunderbolts.
Oh, Thunderbolts is a good shout, Michael. Thunderbolts is a great shout.
Ben, maybe Thunderbolts?
Oh, yes! Yes! Ben. Bloody Mephisto.
They get Mephisto
US agent.
US agent, Baron Zemo.
Agatha
Harkness, they'll get her in there. They'll get Baron Zemo in there. They'll get anyone you want, any losers. They'll get Emil
Red
Blonsky.
Guardian will definitely be in the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Red Guardian.
Or Taskmaster.
Get Taskmaster in there if you want, Ben. Red Guardian Leviosa.
Oh, nice, Michael. Nice.
Very good.
The Thunderbolts is a great shout. Anyway, that's not even the most timid part of this episode, Michael. We got, admittedly, a very interesting fight scene between... I guess a little bit of a callback to the famous scene in Winter Soldier between Tony Stark and Captain America and Winter Soldier. And again, we have it there. We have the US agent Falcon and Winter Soldier. And good old John Walker holds his own there.
He's a super soldier now.
He's a super soldier now, but he's a highly trained super soldier as well. So he holds his own just fine.
And he's got a vibranium shield.
So there's a lot going on there. It's very heavy-handed in its parallels to current American politics in places. No bad thing, Michael. That's what media is there for. But there's a particular scene where he has the mask pulled off and he says, "I am Captain America."
I am Captain America.
And he's having a go at Sam Wilson, and that's a very targeted assault, Michael. The black man that's about to be choked to death by a card-carrying member of the United States government. So there's a lot of politics there. Not that this show took the most steps I've ever seen in a Marvel Cinematic Universe show to actually reflecting real world politics.
Nah, they're always doing it then.
This is heavy though. This is different. This is the first time I think they've really tackled racial politics in the United States.
They'll probably age poorly then.
I'm not sure all shows have to age perfectly, Michael.
No, that's true. I already like it more than WandaVision.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a better show. It's less spectacular.
Okay.
It's less I can't wait to talk about this.
Okay, fair enough.
But I actually think it is a better show, and I think it's going to age better. I think it will be more rewatchable.
Okay, true. I'll give you that. There's not as many twists.
Not as many twists and turns, and not as many things to go on the internet and say, look what happened this week.
That's interesting, Michael.
But I think it's actually a better show. I think it's a bit more compelling.
This episode did intrigue me. I think the conversation between Sam and Isaiah is a fascinating piece of just work. It's just a great scene. It just works really well. It's
lots of levels, Ben. Lots of layers.
I read a really interesting breakdown of Sam Wilson as a character. And something that's glossed over in The Winter Soldier is the fact that he's in pararescue. And I assumed, Michael, when I originally heard that, I was like, okay, he's in the Air Force in the thing. And then somebody on Reddit broke down exactly what it means to be a pararescue trooper.
Right.
And it's one of the most elite branches of the military. It goes beyond Marines, it goes beyond Special Forces, it's like a really, really specialized branch of the US military. And above all, the credo for them is to do no harm, because they follow kind of a paramedics thing. They're a rescue team. That's essentially what they do.
Well, Sam doesn't do no harm. He's killing people left, right, and centre.
But he does it quickly, Michael, and mercifully.
With guns.
But on top,
and sometimes missiles.
But on top of that, he's a PTSD counsellor for former soldiers. And it was a fascinating look at just how much Steve would know about that. And how giving the shield to him was such a big idea, not only as a black man as Captain America, but also, you know, from the point of view that he is the best man for the job. Bucky is a highly trained murderer.
Yeah, he's a big murderer.
But Sam Wilson is a soldier. You know what I mean? And it's pretty interesting. And then the Wakandans gave him some new wings that we're going to see in the next episode, Michael.
How exciting, Ben. A Captain America wingsuit.
A Captain America wingsuit. He's been training with the shield. I enjoyed the little training montage. He left some space on the left for Steve. There's a scene where he's running up a track and there's a big gap on the left.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
I still don't think he should be fighting super soldiers, though.
He's not built for it, Michael.
He's very lucky he didn't get killed by John Walker. I assume John Walker was pulling his punches.
Well, given that one super soldier gave poor El Battlestar a box, and that was the end of him. A small lady. John Walker, who's a highly trained and homicidal at that moment fighter. I don't know how he didn't just crush his neck. That's the one thing I didn't understand.
He didn't appear to be like trying to throttle him.
Oh, did he not? Okay, maybe I misunderstood.
I don't think so.
That.
He wasn't trying, because I mean, he could probably just pop his head off.
Probably.
If you can, I don't think he was trying to kill him, and that's the only thing that makes sense. He was trying to beat him up.
Okay.
But he wasn't trying to kill him because, you know, it was a fight over his shield. It wasn't a life or death.
Yeah, but he does lift the shield to decapitate Sam Wilson in the same way, doesn't he? And then Bucky has to throw himself at him.
Yeah, but would he though, or would he decide not to at the last second?
Well, hang on now, hold on.
What?
We can't say would he decide at the last second not to do it, because that's because cinematically speaking, we've been set up to believe that that's what he's going to do, because the previous episode showed us that that's the process. That
was against someone who he blamed for killing his friend and he saw as an enemy. Whereas with Sam and Bucky, it was a disagreement about ownership of a shield.
No, but he
might have just bonked him with it.
He was in full Gollum mode where he's like, it's mine.
I'm Captain America.
I don't know.
I am the one who is Captain America.
I think John Walker's gone full villain. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Think he's going to be back next episode in the black suit?
I think there's very little redeemable about that character at this point. I
hope he's back next episode in the black suit.
He will be back next episode in a black suit. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing when he chucks his shield and it shatters against the actual shield.
Because it's just made of tin.
It's just made of medals of honor, which is what we seem to see. Anyway, I have a question from a listener, Michael.
Oh, go on. 43 minutes into the podcast.
43 into the podcast. It was to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the question is, are we to believe that Steve Rogers is brown bread?
I don't know, Benjamin.
In this show. And I had to do some digging, and nobody's confirmed it, Michael.
No, we don't know. We genuinely don't know. We don't know where he is or what he's up to.
There's a lot of speculation, and that was sent in by Connor, our good friend Connor, who sometimes holds cameras for us.
I know him. I've met him.
And I did some digging, and there's no clear line on this. There's nobody can tell us. Nobody can tell us what's going on. It's crazy. Michael.
Hello.
Speaking of crazy things.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be mad if there was a zombie apocalypse?
Fucking mental, Ben. It would be mental. It would be as mad as the 2017 film Contagion, starring Matthew Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow. Benjamin, we talked about the film Contagion at the start of the podcast. Not the start of the podcast. That was many years ago. At the start of the Pandemonium, the current Pandemonium.
We did.
And we said it's an incredible piece of speculative fiction.
Yeah, it nails
about
it.
what a pandemic would look like. And it stands up still,
Yeah.
Ben. It is incredible. All of the buzzwords that are in that film that were in the early days of the pandemic, Ben. Fomites, R numbers, transmission rates.
All there.
They nailed everything right on the head. And then it ends up with a kind of a maudlin, boring period of people waiting to get vaccinated and get essentially, okay, they missed the boat on the phrase vaccination passport.
But still,
that phrase is never spoken, but that's very much what it is. And, you know, people who can prove their immunity reintegrating into society. Bloody hell, Ben. There is no film. It's a crystal ball of a film. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
It is incredible, Ben.
I often think that Matt Damon and Kate Blanchett. Is it Kate Blanchett? I don't have that right.
Catherine Blanchardstown.
Catherine Blanchardstown.
She's from Dublin's north side.
Here, will you ever show me your passport there, please? So she's in it there as well. I often think they must sit back and go, chuffed.
We did a good job of that, didn't we?
Chuffed.
I'm glad we wrote it. Us actors.
The writer must be delighted as well, though. He must be like, I fucking nailed that.
I nailed it. I nailed pandemics. They should have got me on board for the whole thing.
And that got me thinking, Michael, throughout the course of this one, because I'm pretty sick of turning on the news and seeing people in big groups saying that, you know, it's all a government conspiracy and COVID's not real. That gets to me on occasion, Michael. So it got me thinking, what did a lot of like big outbreak films and pandemic films and zombie films get wrong about humanity's reaction to things? And so that got me thinking about zombie films, Michael. What are some of the realistic zombie films that we've had to watch? And what are some of the less realistic ones that we've had to stick in our eyeballs?
Benjamin, I rewatched, as we discussed at the top of the film here, at the top of the podcast, I rewatched 1978's Dawn of the Dead. Was it 78?
I'll have a
78
look.
or 74?
I'll have a look.
By your favourite and mine, Ben, George A. Romero.
Oh, what a bloke.
He is one of the best zombie guys, Ben.
The zombie guy.
Yeah. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, Ben. Have you seen Dawn of the Dead, Ben? The 1978
The black and white boy?
No.
That's
Night of the Living Dead.
God damn it.
Night of the Living Dead is often credited with being the creator of the modern zombie movie. Because it's a black and white film, Ben, from 68, I think. 1968.
You're absolutely right, by the way. It's 1978 for...
Is it 78?
Yes,
so I think that puts Night of the Living Dead in 68. Night of the Living Dead, Ben, is about a small group of people who are attacked by zombies in a cabin.
Yes.
And there is very little mention of the outside world.
Ooh. That'd be good.
It's an assault on District 13 film. It's people in a confined space trying to keep baddies out.
Oh, good.
That's how that works. Dawn of the Dead, 1978's Dawn of the Dead, Ben, is the template for the zombie pandemic film.
Oh, okay. Go on. Do go on.
1968, Ben, doesn't really address the outside world. It's an isolated incident of, you know, this is a problem that this group of people are dealing with.
Bunch of dead lads.
Exactly. But 1978's Dawn of the Dead is a zombie pandemic film.
Nice.
And it starts with the imminent collapse of society.
No good.
As Ben, these isolated incidents of people returning from the dead are turning out to be more and more widespread than everybody thought. And we are introduced to the whole thing by a TV presenter arguing with a scientist.
Oh, no.
On television.
Yeah.
And basically denying the scientist is right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the scientist is like, this is very bad. They're coming back. They're zombies. You have to destroy the head. You have to move out of population centers. And then the man on the TV is like, you can't expect people to move out of population centers for such a small problem. And then it's like, oh no, this is a bit real. This is a bit,
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling this, Ben. This is infecting my anxieties.
Is the scientist named Dr. Fauci?
No.
No?
He's not.
You sure?
No, it's not that prescient. It's not as prescient as 2017's Contagion.
The film Contagion, 2017.
So, Ben, then it does become a little bit more standard. It doesn't really focus on, the global implications.
Okay.
There is a great scene, Ben, about rednecks.
Okay.
The rednecks go a zombie hunting, and they prove to be uniquely adapted to dealing with the situation because they all have guns and love shooting stuff.
That'll do it.
And so the redneck towns actually do pretty well in the zombie outbreak.
I'm going to have to watch this now.
It's very good. It's a low budget film from the 70s.
Okay.
The sound mix is horrible.
Oh, is it?
And there are I watch it with my good lady friends. There are weird moments like a SWAT team breaching a building.
Okay.
And, the SWAT team are running in. And the sound of their boots stomping isn't overdubbed.
Oh.
So it's weird.
So it's
They're
just
running
the boys.
in almost sound. Yeah, they run into the building almost soundlessly. And it's weird watching that as a modern film viewer. Because it should be going jump, 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 jump.
It should be part of the tension, a diegetic bloody suspense machine.
People firing grenades. And it just doesn't make any particular noise.
No.
It's weird. There's a weird lack of Foley mix, I believe is the term.
I do believe you're right. Mm.
But Ben, it is an old film. It is an old, low-budget film.
Fair.
But Ben, they go to a mall.
Yeah.
Or as we call it in this country, a shopping centre.
Yeah.
Or as they called it in America in the 70s, a shopping centre, believe it or not. Because, Ben, they were kind of new back then.
What?
Shopping centres are a relatively recent invention. So one of the characters explains what it is to the other characters.
What?
And he's like, it's one of those new shopping centres, kind of like an indoor mall. Incredible. What? Amazing. So it is... The really interesting thing about this film, Ben, is the zombies themselves are such a non-threat to anybody with any degree of common sense.
Okay.
These are not your modern zombies. These are not Dave Bautista versus basically orcs.
Okay.
These are Shaun of the Dead zombies.
Yeah, the classic just shambling mess of a creature.
Ben, they're just normal people painted grey.
Oh, nice.
For one thing. They haven't spent a lot on the prosthetics in 1978.
Nice.
But they're entirely not dangerous.
Oh, good.
They have to bite you to do anything.
Okay.
And they're slow moving and dim-witted, and they can't... People fist fight zombies in this, Ben. Most of the zombie interactions in this film is pushing and shoving.
Amazing.
And it's really weird to see zombies themselves being so non-threatening. The only way you can be killed by zombies in this universe is by being some sort of dumbass zombie denier, or overly reckless, or overly foolish or foolhardy.
Yeah, just pushing the envelope, lads.
Just push the zombies out of the way. If they try to grab you, give them a puck. Give them a puck in the head.
Just a quick puck.
Yeah, there's a lot of people punching zombies, Ben. People don't punch zombies anymore.
No, because they'll bite you.
Yeah, they'll bite you. But zombies these days will bite you no matter what's going on. They'll find some sort of way to bite you.
Yeah, that was the big conceit of The Walking Dead that didn't grift well with me. Where, if it was necessary for a character to die, somehow the zombie would get to bite them, despite all the precautions in the world that were taken.
Yeah. Body armor, chainmail, covering every inch. And somehow they get bitten.
They lift up the ankle trouser all of a sudden, they'd be like, get it in there. And then,
yeah. But in this... There's all sorts of mussing and tussing with zombies, and no one ever gets bitten. It's really quite strange how little the baddies in this are humans.
Ah, look, there's a classic pandemic trope, isn't it? The baddies a little bit like today, Michael. I suppose. Push that argument
I see
still.
What you've done. I see what you've done, Ben. So the baddies in this are roving bunches of humans who just can't leave well enough alone.
Yeah, because they have to be the big goddamn heroes, and they have to stand up and do.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
One of the most interesting things is the mall that they're in contains a bank.
Okay.
And there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars there, and they're looking at it and going, maybe this'll, why not?
Will it be worth something?
Yeah. But it's really good. It's a really, really good film. Like, it's a cheap film, and it looks cheap. And, like, the sound mix is horrible. And some shots are out of focus, Ben.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like, there's some, like, pivotal death scenes just entirely out of focus.
Oh, no.
And some zombies get killed and then come back later because they clearly didn't have enough extras.
Oh, nice.
And the zombie makeup itself is super cheap. But it's not about zombies. It's about the existential horror of commercialism. And
nice.
When the 4 main characters, there's 4 main characters, when they take over the shopping centre, Ben, they live a boring domestic life, basically, and start annoying each other. Because they've cleared all... Yeah, and that's the kind of... That's where the potential problems lie.
In other people. Hell is other people, Michael.
Exactly, Ben. But it's also the source of the line, Ben, when hell is too full, the dead... When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Nice. Is that where it comes from?
I think that's where it originates, yeah.
Gas. Love it. Love
Benjamin,
it.
Watch it. Go watch it. It's very good. It is the birth of the modern zombie blockbuster.
I will do exactly that, Michael. It's funny because everything you've described there, Michael, is the premise of the very, very now classic comedy Shaun of the Dead.
Very good film.
Very good film. One of my favourite zombie films.
Benjamin, I was watching Dawn of the Dead with my good lady friend.
Go on.
And she said, "Is this why Shaun of the Dead is called Shaun of the Dead?" And I said, "Yes, it is. Yes, exactly. That's it."
Very, very good.
Or as my good lady friend Ben calls it, Simon Pegg of the Dead.
So, well, I mean, also a perfect description. But yeah, like, it's an Edgar Wright comedy. But fundamentally, the only difference, I suppose, from what you've just described is a far better makeup budget.
Yeah, good Foley mix.
Good Foley mix. Editing that is just chef's kiss. Yeah. But the fundamental premise is, what could be worse than getting stuck with your partner's prickish friends that you never really liked, but now you have to save? Yeah. What would happen if your annoying, shitty boyfriend who tried to control you all the time wanted you to die as a zombie because he did? Like, Dylan Moran plays the worst person in this, and he keeps trying to be selfish, and his girlfriend is like, "Ew, no."
I was in the office.
No more selfishness.
No.
What would happen if your prick of a roommate got turned into a zombie when he was bitten by what he called a junkie? Like,
crackhead, I believe he says, isn't it?
Is it crackhead?
I think this is crackhead.
And it's pretty interesting to see those play out, because you get to see the shittiest people of society just kind of fall to a zombie apocalypse. But you also get to watch average people panic the fuck out of things. One of my favourite and most realistic scenes, I think, is his mother's response.
Amazing. Everybody's mother.
His mother's response to it is beat for beat.
Yeah.
How my mother would respond to a zombie outbreak.
Mine too, Ben. Mine too, exactly. 100% exactly.
And it's hilarious, but it's also spot on.
Spot on. I just didn't want to be a bother, Ben.
I just didn't want to be a bother. The sentence of a film. Mum, why didn't you tell us you were bitten by a ravenous infectious zombie? I just didn't want to be a bother. You know, she had real. Even in the midst of it, Bill Nighy won't let the son-in-law he doesn't really, or the foster son he doesn't really like, drive the car. Like, it's
stepson then.
The nitty-gritty, stepson is the correct term for what I was trying to describe. The nitty-gritty of those details. Mum, why aren't you panicking? Oh, we just thought we'd wait it out and watch some telly.
Yeah.
What a scene, Michael.
Very realistic, Ben.
So real. So real. And I love Simon Pegg's thing of, like, we'll just wait it out in the pub.
Yeah. Terrible plan.
Terrible plan.
As it turned out.
Terrible plan as it turned out, because everybody just goes and hangs out at the pub then. And I love, again, it's kind of in the same way that what did you call it? Day of the Dead was a kind of satire of commercialism, or a takedown of commercial. Sorry, Dawn of the Dead was a takedown of commercialism. This is a takedown of your boring 9-to-5 job and doing nothing with your life, and whether or not you're supposed to hate that, or whether or not it's okay. Because everybody in that film judges Shaun.
Yeah.
Everybody in that film, except for his partner, who doesn't actually mind it. She just hates that he hates himself so much for hating his job. And it's a really interesting thing. And the zombies are all kind of 9-to-5ers and working class people. And it's just very interesting, Michael.
The zombies in Day of the Dead are all quite quiet until one of the main characters gets bitten. And then he starts giving it the whole...
Oh, that's where it comes from.
Yeah. It's crazy watching Dawn of the Dead. Ben, have you watched 2004's Dawn of the Dead by Zachar and Snyder?
Yes, with Dave Batista.
No, Dave Batista's not in it.
I didn't know that wasn't. I thought that was only out in a couple of weeks.
No, you're thinking of Army of the Dead. Ben.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're talking about 2004's kind of semi-remake, semi-homage, Dawn of the Dead.
I have seen bits of that one.
It's fine. It's probably... Ben, as you know, I like the director. I like the work of director Zachar and Snyder.
You do?
I'm not a huge fan of his DC stuff, but... I like Sucker Punch, Ben. I think I might be the only person in history who likes Sucker Punch. I think Watchmen is a fucking modern cinematic classic. But...
Possibly.
2004's Dawn of the Dead. Okay, it does the whole mold thing. My argument is it brings too many survivors.
Too many survivors to the yard.
Too many survivors, and, they're all quirky, and they've got things... I've no time for it, Ben. But it does have... to my mind, probably the best and the most Zack Snyder-ish, but probably the best opening montage of actual clips of real news events.
Oh, nice.
Slightly manipulated to look like it's about zombies.
Nice.
So, there's riots, there's fires, there's civil unrest, all edited together in that what is the word I'm looking for, Ben? That trademark frenetic style of Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Which we saw in the Justice League. As remember the kind of the montage, the opening montage of the world after Superman?
Yeah.
And everyone thought, oh, that's a real classic Zack Snyder. It turned out that was Joss.
It was Joss
imitating Zack Snyder.
One Zachar and Schneider.
Yeah, but other than the fact that it has one of the greatest opening, the world is falling apart due to a zombie pandemic.
Bit meh.
The rest of it's a bit meh. It does have a great action escape sequence.
Nice. At
the very beginning, where the main character... Is she Andrea from The Walking Dead? I think it was.
It could be.
I think it was. I can't remember. It does have a great action escape sequence. But, as we've learned from the 70s movie and Contagion, and it doesn't start with an action sequence. It starts with confusion and denial and a breakdown in services. You don't wake up one morning and it's the apocalypse.
No, because it just happens gradually, drip by drip, and then you slowly notice things out of place, Michael.
Yes.
Or, Tim from work is a bit sick this week. Where's Tim?
Yeah.
Tim's never sick.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of that. We see that a lot, Michael, as we go through. I think Zombieland was a great example of that. And we've talked about that a little bit earlier on this podcast. But Zombieland is regular people losing the run of themselves and society collapsing because loads of people don't realise what's going on until it's too bloody late. We have a lot of that. And I think Zombieland was that interesting mix of idiocracy and... a zombie film, or it's that really specific brand of American satire brought to zombies. And it's just, look at this hilarious redneck zombie, and it's a little bit like elitist snobbery. And I think that's one of the dangers of films like Zombieland, because a lot of the times the zombies are caricatures of real people you might meet in America. And there are redeeming characters like the one that Woody Harrelson plays. Like, Woody Harrelson is your typical redneck that turns out to have a huge talent for murdering zombies left, right, and center. But a lot of the time, the zombies are like grotesque and overweight, and people you wouldn't expect. And it's just an interesting satire. I think sometimes a bit mean. More so in the second one. Did you see Double Tap?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Like, it's kind of a real damp sequel. Like, it just came out of nowhere, and I don't think it got anywhere near the same.
It was a sequel 10 years too late, Ben. A classic sequel 10 years too late.
Yeah, but like characters like, I can't remember her name. Is it Becky?
I can't remember
the blonde woman,
the bimbo lady.
The bimbo lady, very mean in places, but also very endearing in places.
Well, she turned out to be the standout character from it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the most enjoyable of the whole movie, absolutely. But a lot of the times, you know, I think that's the danger of shows that closely parody for comedy's sake. They border on insulting. You know, and a bit snobby. I don't know. It's interesting. We put this out to the listeners, Michael, and I'm just going to do this.
The listeners, Ben. I've heard of them.
Because I don't want to run out of them. And, of course, the number one choice there from all the listeners was 28 Days Later.
Ah, very good.
If you're looking for realism and zombie-zombs, I mean, that's what you're going to do. Now, Michael, I have a very important question for you.
Yes.
Did The Walking Dead do waking up in the hospital in the middle of a pandemic first? Or did Cillian Murphy do waking up in a hospital in the middle of a pandemic first?
You know what? I couldn't tell you.
Because I've always wanted to know that.
They do have very similar openings.
They do
have very, very similar openings. When did The Walking Dead come out? 2005?
I'm going to have a look
28
now.
Days Later come out?
I think 28 Days Later might have beaten it to the punch.
I think it might have been. It could be a case of, you know, convergent inspiration. They've had the same idea separately.
I think about that a lot, Michael. I think about that a lot. It keeps me awake.
You know, one of the greatest zombie pandemic scenes of all time is Cillian Murphy walking through abandoned London at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and then getting to a weird church.
Yeah. The rest of 28 Days Later is good.
Brendan Gleeson.
I think it takes a turn for the generic when they get to the army base of Evil Army.
Evil Army base is weird.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, and they're kind of trying to train zombies and stuff. Like, whatever. I've lost interest now. I liked the waking up in the abandoned London, the grim hellscape, trying to figure out what's going on, being picked up by a grizzled survivor in Brendan Gleeson, and then
the tragic loss of Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, he gets goo in his eye.
It's no good.
Don't get goo in your eye. I
liked the threat of zombification in that one. And I think it closely parallels our current pandemic, where you're like, don't sneeze on me, don't look at me, don't. And it was a much more infectious brand of zombieism.
Well, it's not zombieism, is it, Ben? It's the rage virus.
Yeah, I know, but come on now. It's
not zombieism, Ben. It's the rage virus.
It's zombie orcs, Michael, all over again, and we have a little bit of that, and it was pretty interesting. But I liked the human quality. One of the sequences that has always stuck out for me is 28 Weeks Later. And it's the Robert Carlyle runaway sequence.
Run away and abandon your family.
Run away and abandon your family sequence. Yeah. And good God, Michael, if that's not the most unlikable movie character after that opening. And yet, Michael, I think what doesn't sit well with people about that is the horrific relatability of that moment, where people are like... Good. I've never seen a zombie film quite hit at the core of something that people have considered. Because we all love to have the hypothetical zombie question, Michael. It was like, well, I think I'd last maybe so many days. Or I think, me and my wife would survive this long. Or me and my girlfriend would survive this. What if you were just a completely selfish person and you wanted to survive?
I would definitely survive, Ben, and my girlfriend would definitely be killed. She'd get herself killed in the first day, almost certainly.
And that's very realistic, Michael. I would give up. I would not be...
you'd give up and you'd live in the bunker with four couples.
I'd give up. I'd be done. I'd be in a bunker. And not until my 7-year-ago girlfriend got in touch with me again would I be like, oh, maybe I'll go outside.
Maybe I'll go outside and figure it out.
Maybe I'll go outside and figure it out. But yeah, I'd live in a bunker. Or I just top myself, Michael. I don't think I'd be too...
That's depressing.
No, but I don't think I'd be too interested. I don't think I'd take a look at a big horde of things that wanted to rip me apart and be like, do you know what? I've got a good chance here. I don't.
Ben, I would start some sort of leather-wearing cult.
Doomsday style.
Yeah, Doomsday. Like the film Doomsday with Rona Mitra. Benjamin, what else did the listeners say?
We got a very interesting suggestion from Irish Fashionista 777 Siobhan, and she told us about iZombies Season 4.
Oh, yeah, very interesting.
Where the revelation of zombies has become known to the world, and the zombies then get treated like second-class citizens.
Yes, they get very much segregated.
Yeah, they get a zombie passport, Michael.
They get a zombie passport. There's a big zombie wall. There's
a big zombie wall.
There's zombie police for policing zombies. That's one of the biggest paradigm shifts in the history of a television show.
Yeah.
Which went from, it went from a procedural, essentially.
Yeah.
It was an action comedy procedural about a zombie detective. And then it suddenly went, and now the world has changed.
Ta-da!
Yeah, and they really had to. They brought the zombie thing forward far enough. One of the twists, I like that twist about that show. The twist that show adds to the zombie mythos is, as long as zombies are getting fresh brains, they don't degrade into mindless killers.
Yeah, they're fine with a fresh
But when
supply.
they do start degrading, it's irreversible.
Oh, is that what the twist of that show is? I haven't seen much
So
of it
you
as
have
a
to
show.
keep eating fresh brains, because if you start going into a mad zombie, then you become a gross, horrible zombie.
Oh, it's like rabies.
What?
As in, you can't come back from it once it starts. No.
Well, no, that's not how rabies works.
Okay,
But,
never mind.
Yeah, no, that's a misunderstanding of rabies, not what we're talking
Okay,
about.
fair enough.
You've understood what we're talking about
Okay.
very well, but you don't understand rabies. But it's a great little twist. But it does make the mistake of making a zombie cure, and then having characters flip flop between being zombies and former zombies and ex zombies and cured and then uncured and who's immune, who isn't.
Oh, Jesus.
So it gets a bit muddy then. But then the big bloody twist in season 4, they just go, fuck it, everyone's zombies now, put up a wall.
Put up a
Very
wall.
interesting. Very interesting. Good show.
Yeah, so good shout from Siobhan there. Other than that, we had a lot of calls for 28 Days Later, which we've already covered. Nine Wassies got in touch with us talking about those montages from the beginning of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, he's a good egg. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Nine Wassies is where you're at. He's meeting you where you're at, Michael.
Very good.
And then, of course, our tried and tested true companion in the tiny room, Stephen Cadwell, got in touch with us and said, The Last of Us, bloody harrowing stuff that'll do mental damage to you and make you lose your faith in humanity.
Is that about zombies? I thought that was about mushroom people.
I think the mushroom people are the equivalent of zombies. It's an outbreak. It's a virus.
I've never played it, Ben. I've never seen it.
I've never played it. I am quite acutely aware of it, but it follows the Walking Dead logic of fear the people.
Well, that's always the way, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, that's always the way. I suppose one of the things that might resonate a little bit more is what people are willing to do to find the cure. And it's very interesting because the whole premise of The Last of Us is that the little girl traveling with Joel, Ellie, is not Ellie. What's her name?
Elle?
It could be Elle. I'm not 100% sure. I could get that wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But she has the antibodies required to make a proper vaccine. But to remove those antibodies would be to kill her. And there's a whole ethical quandary, gang. Ellie. Okay. Right. There's a whole ethical quandary there, and it's pretty interesting.
They're making a TV show. Gabriel Luna's going to be in it.
Oh, good. I like Gabriel Luna.
And Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. Yeah, he's going to be Joel. I remember this now. We've talked about this.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Pedro Pascal. I love Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he seems like a good egg. We better wrap this up, Ben. This is now our longest ever episode.
Yeah, I think it might be. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us this week. That was us talking about pandemics and stuff. What are we doing next week, Michael? I completely forget.
Oh, I completely forgotten, Ben. Hold on. I'll look it up for you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and I'll look it up.
Let us know what we missed out on there. You can get in touch with us in a lot of different ways. You can find us at www.seanrebeog.com, SEOMORABEAG.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
It does indeed. You can find us on the bloody Instagram at Sean Rebeog, SEOMORABEAG. Still means tiny room, a little bit
That's
in
my
Irish.
bit.
Yeah, it's your bit. You were busy looking up what we were doing next week.
Ben, you've put on the calendar, what made a footprint?
Oh, yes. So we'll be looking at... were we not supposed to move that, Michael? I can't remember.
I don't know, Ben. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. We're doing a mystery topic next week, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a mystery topic next week, ladies and gentlemen. Write in and tell us what you'd like to hear us talk about in the podcast.
Ben, we could do the one that we had scheduled for the 23rd of May.
What's that?
Mick and Ben absolutely lay into the Joel Schumacher Batman films.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be pissing in the cornflakes of Joel Schumacher's Batman. Sold. Done. Yes. Let's do that. That sounds great.
Yeah. And Ben, the listeners will be in for a real treat because, as you know, the theme song to Batman Forever, the first Joel Schumacher film,
Kiss from a Rose,
is "Kiss from a Rose" up by Seal. So I might give you a little rendition.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you are in
listeners-
for a treat.
The listeners will be in for a real treat, Ben. You can see how many octaves I can do.
That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
There used to be a graying tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me.